this message.
Sound check. All praise due to Allah. Assalamu alaikum. Please stand for prayer. Brother Sherman. Cut the music. In the Nation of Islam, we pray with our feet at a 45-degree angle, hands out to receive blessings, heads slightly bowed, and we pray. Surely I've been turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright. To him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not from among the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. No associate has he, in this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. And I ask for protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against fault but thee. And guide me into the best of morals, for none can guide into the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified and I miss forever. Ameen. Amen. You may be seated. First and foremost, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever, plus 1,000 days as far as I'm concerned. I further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed its messenger at minimum, but in fact exalted Christ. And lastly, I would know nothing of those men. I would know nothing of Master Father Muhammad. I would know nothing of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad if it wasn't for our divine leader, teacher, guide, and whether you like it or not, our Messiah. I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet you in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, that is the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted, bastardized language called English. And it's the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted bastard that taught us that language. I greet you in that language, in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, give yourself a round of applause. You all. Because at this moment in time, y'all are the smartest people in Los Angeles. This moment in time. I don't know who you're going to be tomorrow, but right now, you're the smartest people in Los Angeles, so give yourself a round of applause one more time. How many of us are here visiting the Nation of Islam for the first time? Please raise your hand. All praises due to Allah. Give yourself a round of applause. First, I want to thank everyone that's in here, hearing the sound of my voice, for going through our search procedure. I know it might have been kind of different, a little strange for some of us, but when we say Nation of Islam, we mean that. And there's not a nation on this earth that you can walk into without being checked. Is that correct? Go ahead and go a couple hours south to Mexico and see if you can just walk up in Mexico. Or just drive up in Mexico. I mean, they're going to search parts of you that you didn't even know you had. They're going to search parts of your car that you didn't even know existed. They're going to bring out dogs and all kinds of stuff to sniff around. We don't do all that. We just want to make sure for your safety and ours that everything is all right. Is that correct? Yes, sir. I mean, 80 years before Columbine, 80 years before Dylan Roof, 80 years before the 19 mass shootings that have taken place in America this year, 80 plus years before that, we had search procedures. Is that correct? Yes. So again, I want to thank you again for undergoing that search procedure. Now, as you can see, we sit in seats in the Nation of Islam. We don't have our carpets out. Those are at home. We make our salat at home. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Our meetings, especially the ones that are open to the public, our meetings are classrooms. So that's why we have you in actual seats. This is not the masjid. This is a class jid. Do you understand? All praises due to Allah. So that's why you're sitting in seats and we're not, speaking too much Arabic or sitting Indian style like kindergarten on prayer rugs. We're here to learn, and y'all gonna have some beautiful physically and mentally teachers today to learn from. So that's why we want you to be upright, at attention, and listening. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Now, as you often hear from the Nation of Islam, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Y'all didn't sound too confident in that. I'm going to ask that again. A nation can rise no higher than its woman. Is that correct? Yes, sir. In fact, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that a nation itself, essentially, is a woman. Anything that is productive is a woman. Anything that's productive is a woman. In fact, your first teacher, your first doctor, your first nurse, your first counselor. And if your mama was anything like my mama and she was no nonsense, she was also the first fade you took. Is that right? She was the first one to go upside your head. Is that right? And for some of us to this day, ain't nobody ran that fade like mama ran that fade. Is that right? So she is the first, and today we are blessed to hear. You're not going to see another hard head up here after I leave. You're going to see nothing but the second self of God teaching you today. Is that all right? Yes, sir. Is that all right? Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Well, at this time, let me get this hard head off the stage so we can get some beauty up here. At this time, I want to bring up a sister who, when you think Mos 27, you can't think Mos 27 without thinking of this sister. I'm a young brother who I like to watch as many old lectures as I can from the minister, even from Mos 27. And I have not found a lecture yet old enough where I can't see this sister or hear this sister bearing witness in the audience. Is that right? Yes, Mos 27, that's right. She is a beautiful mother. She's a beautiful teacher. She sacrifices everything for this nation. And she has about 20 or 30 children and grandchildren that look exactly like her. And they are all acting like her. And it's absolutely beautiful. She is a stand-in for MGT as far as I'm concerned. You got a problem with that? Talk to Allah about it. But she's a stand-in as far as I'm concerned. So no further ado, let's please receive our dear sister student minister, Valerie Muhammad.
Thank you. Let's keep our hands together for Brother Landon S. Let's welcome to Master Knowledge in the West. All praises be to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. And in the name of our exalted Christ, our eternal leader, that black man from Sandersville, Georgia, with a 4th grade education that changed the world and raised leaders like the Honorable Master Farad, Muhammad Ali, and none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praises due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And there's one more. Come on now, in the name of that divine reminder who used to just be a divine reminder, but has been exalted by Almighty God Allah to be the spokesperson in our midst for God today. The Christ-like figure in our midst today. Because if we call him the Christ, we might run some people off. Because that could be considered too steep a gradient for those who don't understand. Is that right? But he's a Christ to us. And he will be a Christ to you if you watch him. And if you go where he says go. And if you stay from where he says stay from, you will see the benefits, I guarantee you, in your life if you follow this man. And I am speaking of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Our man, our champion, the champion of the world. The people just don't know. All praises be to Allah. So in these 3 great and eternal names, and I say eternal because they will live in history forever. All who serve God live in history forever.
Come on.
We still know the name of Jesus, even though we did not see that physical Jesus back in the day. We still know the name of Moses. We still know the name of Aaron, Joshua, Lot. We know all these names because these names were servants of Almighty God. So we cannot dispute that our man, our champion, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is a man of God. Because he has sacrificed his life for us. His family has sacrificed their lives for us.
Come on.
To this day, I believe he's 85 years, 86, thank you, he is young.
Yes, ma'am.
And he still moves like a teenager.
That's right.
Brothers are still trying to keep up with him on his walk because he walks swiftly.
Come on.
He moves quickly. Praise be to Allah, he gives a great example of quick moving, fast thinking, right down to the modern times. I know when I walk to my car, sometimes the brothers say, Sister Valerie, slow down. I said, what teaching you got, brother?
Come on.
I heard it was quick moving, fast thinking. You can't hit a moving target. But they say that's why I can't get a husband because I move too fast.
No, you all right. No, you all right. Go ahead.
I don't know what to say to that, right? All praises due to Allah. I am so grateful to see us all in in the audience today, it just goes to show our love for our nation and our teachings. Because Islam dignifies, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Islam will put the black men of America on top of the civilization. So why not Islam? So I'm talking to those in our audience who know nothing about Islam. I want to tell you to follow Farrakhan, because Farrakhan has crossed the world to share this teaching. And he never gives up that Allah came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. He continues to keep that in the first and foremost of our teachings. And that makes us different from other cultures. Some people come in and say, can you drive?
Come on.
We say, yes, we can drive.
That's right.
Do you walk 10 paces behind your man? I said, I don't know no black or brown woman that walk 10 paces behind their man. We walk beside our men and sometimes in front of them. My daughter-in-law, Neelam, says, I'll be the queen and I'm going to slay.
Go ahead.
I'll be the queen and I'm going to slay. We are all queens. When we came here from all walks of life, we didn't know that we were the second self of God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad set up a class for us every Saturday to teach us who we are, how we act, what to think, what to do, what to teach our children. So if you are not a part of that class, you should join us every Saturday. That's a little post announcement for our MGT class, right, sister?
That's right. Go ahead.
But this weekend has been so amazing. Dr. Ava is the walking female voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Right.
That sister speaks all praises to Allah, so much wisdom, and you can see Allah take over her mind, take over her spirit, take over her being as she is relaying the information from him. So I thank Allah for this weekend. I thank Allah for the laborers that are here, and I want you to look to my right. I have some beautiful sisters on the piano that will be sharing some words with us this morning. We have Sister Marquita from the Compton Mosque, who is our captain in Compton. We have Dr. Amina. We have Sister Betty. We have Sister Cherie, student minister of Mosque 27, and Sister Anissa, student minister of Mosque 27. So without further ado, I would like to bring one of our sisters up, a hardworking sister. When Sister Captain Sajda took the position of Western Regional Captain, Sister Marquita hadn't even been in the mosque that long. But Sister Marquita rolled her sleeves up.
Go ahead.
She said, what is it that the God wants me to do? I'm going to do it. So she's been the Compton Mosque number 54 captain for about 4 years.
Praise.
She's a beautiful wife, a beautiful mother of 2 beautiful daughters that just happen to be back there. Honesty, I see you, Sincere. And they are students of Muhammad University of Islam. So you see, Islam runs all through her blood because she's teaching and raising her children to love Almighty God Allah.
That's right.
She is not alone. She has a husband, Brother Ed, right? And he is helping his wife to be as successful as she is.
That's right.
Because we learned in the nation that the man is the maintainer.
Come on.
And he helps to maintain the woman. That's why you are half a woman or half a man if you are not married. Because marriage is half your faith.
Come on, the team.
I've been one-legged for a long time.
Come on.
But Allah's blessing me.
That's
okay,
right.
Because my relationship with him
Come
has
on.
gotten so close.
Peace.
Almost nothing can come between us. So all praise is due to Allah. I can't imagine how I'm going to be when that time comes. All right, enough about that. So I would like, with no further ado, to bring before you a beautiful sister, captain of Mosque 54, Sister Marquita X. Bring her on with a round of applause, guys. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Father Muhammad. I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted Christ, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine warner, our leader, teacher, and guide. I would like to greet my family in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, man.
I thank you all so very much for allowing me to say some words. But I can't say words for myself. I have to give you words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who I am a humble student of. From our study guide, Volume 1, Part 3, The Will of God, the minister says, "My dear beloved brothers and sisters, your identity is not your color. Your identity is not the landmass from which you come or originated. Your identity is the nature in which you are created. Since your nature is to obey the will of Allah God, your nature is Islam. You are by nature a Muslim, and any other name that is not, you are by nature a Muslim, and any name other than that is not a proper name for you. You are a Muslim. Accept your own and be yourself."
That's right.
That ran deep in my heart, brothers and sisters, because as Sister Valerie shared with you, I came in about 6 years ago, and as we all can bear witness, we did not know our nature.
Come on.
We were very cruel to one another out here in Satan's world.
Go ahead.
We were very unjust to one another in Satan's world. But when I came into the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, through the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I found my nature.
Go ahead.
I found who I really was to be. All praises due to Allah. And I thank Allah. I truly thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because I was able to give my children a teaching that they absorb in their bodies, their souls, their hearts, and their minds. I was able to give them something that they can walk out in this world and say, I am a God. All praises to Allah. Brothers and sisters, remember, Satan is real. And Satan is never going to give us this teaching. So he can't run to their schools, which I'm not against education because I want us to further education, but we can't run to their schools. We can't run to their jobs and think that we're going to find this peace in their world. This is modern day Babylon. And they want to destroy the black man and woman. But we're not going to let that happen. All praises due to Allah. It is our job, brothers and sisters, to work hard, to be dutiful, to sacrifice our life and our death, all for Allah. It is our job, brothers and sisters, to be kind to one another, to love one another, to be equal to one another, to be just to one another, to give all that you can give in the name of Allah to help raise our people. It is our job, brothers and sisters, to be mighty students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I thank Allah that I had that job. Brothers and sisters, I'm not coming from an arrogant or boastful manner.
Go ahead.
I'm coming from a strong, convinced, convicted manner. Because I know where I came from. And I know where I'm going. Hold on. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, we all have a mission. We all have a time for us to stand up and rise. And it is our time. And to our sisters that are not registered and that are guests, you all have time to stand.
Go ahead.
You all have time to be in this cause to raise each and every one of us up. Because modern day Babylon wants us to continue to be blind, deaf, and dumb. Satan wants us to continue to fight and kill one another. And we're not going to do that. So we want to thank you so much, sisters, for being here. And we love you. And we thank Allah that you came through these doors to hear a teaching, a powerful message that's going to raise us up out of this deadbeat Satan world.
Come on. Go ahead.
All praises be to Allah. Now understand, this teaching and this talk was never given to me at a very young age. So this is something that I am learning. This is something that I am striving to walk. I'm striving to give to my children. So each and every day, brothers and sisters, we may fall, we may stumble, but we're taught what? To get back up.
Come on.
All praise is due to Allah.
That's right. Go ahead.
It is the will of Allah that we have to hold on to. It is our submission to Allah that we have to hold on to. It is our love for Allah that we have to hold on to. It is our love for our people that we have to hold on to. And if we continue that, oh Allah, ranging in ranks, brothers and sisters, calling on Allah, building that solid wall, we will be the winners. Thank you so very much. God bless you.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, Allah himself has said that we cannot return to our land until we have a thorough knowledge of our own selves.
That's right.
This first step is the control and the protection of our own women. Our MGT class teaches us how to respect ourselves and how to respect others, because our brothers are taught to give their lives for us. So we do not want our beautiful brothers to lose their lives over some foolishness that we are encountering.
Come on.
So we must know who we are as women. The second self of God is no small title. It is a huge title. We are the first teachers, the first nurses, the first educators, the first mothers.
Go ahead.
And the black men and women work hand in hand. We all have our own roles and our own jobs. But some of us have lost that role. And we have taken on a role other than ourselves.
Come on.
We have to bring back our femininity. We have to bring back our knowledge and wisdom of the human race. We cannot operate in this world carrying the weight that a male is supposed to carry. It's no wonder that we're getting cancer at a more alarming rate. Not only from foods, environment, water, but from stress. Because we are carrying the burden that the open enemy has put on us to divide and conquer. So with that being said, I would like to introduce our next speaker. She is a doctor, a medical doctor. Yes, women in the Nation of Islam can become doctors. Is that right?
Absolutely.
All praises due to Allah. You can become a lawyer. You can become a teacher. You can do construction work if you want, but we try to stick with the more feminine position. Not like we're feminists, though. We're far from that.
That's right.
But this sister is a beautiful spirited sister, high-spirited. She looks about 17. I said, "You're a medical doctor, ma'am?" She said, "Yes, ma'am. I studied at UC Irvine." Is that right? She said, "I studied at UC Davis for medical school." You know, that takes time. She's a mother of 2. She's a wife. Her husband is assistant minister of Brother Kareem in Hospital 97. Praise be to Allah. Under the leadership of Sister Catherine Carilla, who is doing a wonderful job. She's also a vanguard, which is the title we give the women in Islam who are between the ages of 16 and 35. She is a beautiful wife and mother. She is going to come before us and share a few words regarding what it is to be a Muslim, how to eat to live. Let's bring on our very own Dr. Amina Mohammed.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
We have Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad coming on. Oh, beautiful. Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad is in here. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace in our original language of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am.
I first like to thank the laborers of this region, the Western region, for giving me this opportunity to come before you. Student Minister, Brother Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad. And our local student minister, Brother Kareem Muhammad of Muhammad Mosque number 97 in Rialto. So I thank all the laborers for giving me this opportunity to come before you, the people of God. So I'm very humbled, I am very honored to come before you, and I thank you for your time and attention for allowing me to share a few words. I would have nothing of substance or importance to say if it were not for the coming of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and him teaching his best student, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, his best student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So with them, I praise you for Allah. So today I would just like to share a few words of the mighty, mighty love that Allah has for us. Allah's love is matchless. It is incomparable. It is perfect. He has a perfect love for us. And I can bear witness to this going through the schooling process. We all know the public school system is not really good for us. Not good for us. So as I'm going through, even it started from elementary school, there was a teacher, we had a reading period time, and she would always choose these books for me. She already knew how to read it. She knew I was not interested in the books, but she would continue to bring these books. Allah put the thought in my head, I'm going to go to the library, my own library, choose some books and use that for the reading time, because she was already trying to break down my spirit. She was trying to discourage me from learning more. On through middle school, high school, I remember there was a teacher that she was asking all the students, what would you like to learn? What would you like to be? And I raised my hand, I said, I want to know everything about everything.
Good.
And she said, you can't do that. And I looked at her, and the other students were looking as well. And so I knew at that point, again, Allah put that thought in my head, okay, I'm not going to share anything else with her, my aspirations and my goals. She's just going to try to break me down as well. So this is an ongoing process that we face when we're going through the public school system. So I'm grateful that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad set up Muhammad University of Islam for us. And so Allah was bringing me through step by step, even through college. I was doing research at the university, and towards the last year, you have these advisors that you talk to that's supposed to advise you of where to go and how to go. I had a meeting with him, and he said, your people don't get accepted to medical school. They don't. Who's going to write you a letter of recommendation? You're not going to get good test scores to get in. So all these things, these seeds he was trying to plant in my mind, in my head, to try to deter me from the path. But I'm thankful to Allah that He put the thought in my head. Don't listen to what they're telling you. All praise be to Allah. And so I feel that is the love of Allah. I feel like He has my hand. He's walking me step by step through the process, because there's going to be a lot of hurdles. There's going to be a lot of people telling you things that if you hear it enough, you start to believe it. You start to think it's true. But call on that Allah within to remind you, that you have an aim and purpose. You have to keep that aim and purpose in your head while you're going through these hurdles. Allah is bringing you over the next hurdle, over the next hurdle. So I'm again thankful for the love of Allah that He has for us, and also as a medical doctor. I am eternally grateful again for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. How are you to live? This is what I teach my patients. When they come in to see me, they don't know I'm about to talk about this until they've already seen me. Right. But I tell them the importance of 1 meal a day.
Go ahead.
And
Minister Nori, he was telling us a few weeks ago that a brother came up to him and said, yes, sir, I eat 1 meal a day. I don't have a problem with that, but I eat 2 more at night. So it's 1 meal a day, 1 meal every 24 hours. And so the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that will prolong our life. And we are dying from everything. We used to live many years, and now we're dying well before 100, well before our 50s. We're suffering from heart attacks, stroke, cancer, diabetes, everything that anybody can suffer from, we are suffering from because we have that added stress, that added thought in our mind that we are inferior and that we, don't deserve a better life. So the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they do work. And so this is what I teach my patients. I tell them about 1 meal a day. I give them a copy of the Navy bean soup recipe, which is essential for every household to have to help prolong our life. And we have so much potential in this room here. All praise be to Allah. Each and every one of us, Allah has deposited a gift, skill, talent, many of those, and it is our job to mine that out of each of us. And so, again, call on Allah. He loves us. He is going to guide us through step by step and just keep Him in our forefront of our mind. And also, Allah, He knew that the black woman was going to be degraded, disrespected, unappreciated, and pretty much stripped down to no value at all. And so I am thankful for Allah's love of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He taught us how to dress. The sisters how to dress. He gave us a uniform that dignifies us, that separates us from all other women in the world. You've never seen anyone like the MVP of the Nation of Islam. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, as long as women are not respected, as long as women are not protected, as long as women are not elevated in our thinking, then men and our future can never be elevated. And he goes on to say, for where there is no decent woman, there is no decent men, for the woman is the mother of civilization. So Allah loves us so much, He created our uniform to allow us to uphold our respect, to remember our value, to know that when you see a sister with a headpiece, that means that her mind is taken over by Allah. She's not under the control of the enemy. So our wearing of this garment and this headpiece is our declaration of separation, is our declaration of independence. So we are proud to be women of the Nation of Islam. All praises be to Allah. So I thank you all for these few words. And again, I just want to remind us, let the God within us manifest. Let Him manifest in our thinking, in our actions, in our spirits, in our thoughts. And at this time, I would like to bring up the beautiful Sister Valerie Muhammad. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Protect our woman, we will never be a fit and recognized people on the earth. The white people here among you will never recognize you until you protect your woman. The brown man will never recognize you until you protect your woman. The yellow man will never recognize you until you protect your woman. And not even the white man will recognize us if we do not protect our women. All praises be to Allah. You and I may go to Harvard, the messenger says. We may go to York of England or go to Al-Azhar in Cairo and get degrees from all of these great seats of learning. But we will never be recognized until we recognize our woman. So now, I would like to bring before you a beautiful sister who has a heart of gold. She just so happens to be the protocol director at Mosque number 97 in the Inland Empire. She is a beautiful wife, a beautiful mother. She is also a grandmother. And on September 17th, it just happens to be her birthday. And that is the same time that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had his vision. And then he shared it with us on the 19th. So So without further ado, I would like to bring before you my friend, your friend, our protocol director from Mosque number 97, none other than Sister Betty Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I'm almost in tears.
Go ahead.
I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I further bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted Christ, the Messiah. And I bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a divine reminder, comforter, spirit of truth in our midst today. And I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because I didn't know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I never met him. But I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for directing me and teaching me who the God is today, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Yes, I thank Allah for that. And with that, sisters and brothers, I'd like to greet you in our nation's greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I'm so full today. And I'm just happy, not just for, not myself, it is definitely not a selfish happiness, but I guess it's okay to feel that way in the midst of my brothers and my sisters.
Right.
And I thank Allah. I've heard a lot of people this week and saying, oh, Sister Betty, you did this, you did this, you did that. But you know what? It was basically the inspiration of Allah himself that came to me because God knows there were many times. Yes, there were many times on this journey. We started way back in April. I believe the first letters that went out to sisters was March. I went back to my phone to look and see how long we've been trying to get Sister Ava here. And so it was April or so. So there were many little things that kept coming up. She had to go out of town. We had to wait for certain things to be approved. And at one point, yes, I got really sort of discouraged.
That's all right.
But you know what? Sister Ava is such a down-to-earth sister. She is a sister. She's a sister. Thank you so much, Sister Ava. And you know what? Those who work with Sister Ava, she has just instilled in them certain things that when I talk with them, I can see light emanating from Sister Ava right in them to be close to those who are the helpers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Believe me, sisters, that is really valuable for us because I've learned so much from working with Sister Ava Muhammad. And I want to say that, and I'm going to be very brief, but I know you look at me and you say, that's an old lady. Sister Valerie said she was a grandmother, right? I'm actually a great-grandmother. And I often ask myself, why was it so late in life that Allah gave this to me, gave this vision to me? I was a devout Christian. I knew I was going to heaven. Oh yes, I knew I was headed to heaven. And I knew that all the questions that I had, that was okay because God said he'll make all things beautiful. And when I get to heaven, whatever I didn't know, he'll give me that information then, okay? But I have to thank my husband, Brother Billy Muhammad, also, yes. I was in school, actually working on the master's, and my thesis, the subject of it was going to be Greek mythology. He said, that's what you'll do, Greek mythology. And so he started telling me all about the nation and the Trinity, and I showed him the Trinity, God the Father, Son. He said, who said that? He said, this is the Trinity. So he showed me the minister, Master Farad Muhammad, Master the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I said, this man is crazy. He's got to be crazy. How is that the Trinity? And I took out all my books to share, And it was J. Vernon McGee and Charles Stanley and all of these others. He said, show me something written by a black man. I said, what do you mean? It doesn't make a difference. These men are inspired by God. He said, who inspired them? Who anointed? I said, they're anointed. Who anointed them? Anybody can say I'm anointed. And I'm like, oh my God, but I think a lot of it was really a lot. It was quite a journey. I don't want to just talk about myself, but it was like all night and all morning. And I thought about the early days of Islam and how the believers would sit up all night discussing the word. And that's what we were doing. I mean, just discussing the word. And I was, like I said, I was really into the book of God, I thought. But I really did thank God, because actually Allah is so merciful. And he could have had me meet someone who would have taken me on a different path of Islam. Right. But he sent me here. And I thank my husband for that, for sending him to me to teach me. Yes. And I thank Minister Abdul Malik throughout this journey, trying to get Sister Ava here. Yes. First of all, I thank Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he's the one who called the separation, project separation into being. And Sister Ava, I had spoken to her a while back when she was doing the Beautiful You tours, and that suddenly kind of stopped because Mr. Farrakhan has her on this special assignment. And he mandated that we all try to get her to our cities. Okay, so that was one of the reasons why I said Sister Ava has to come to this city. And I really do thank Allah for just making me sincere in this mission, because when I believe something, I believe it to the core of my being, and I go out of the way to try to get others to see it. That's the way I was in every area of my life, as a Christian, as a Muslim, now that I have come into this teaching, and I thank Allah, and I pray that He will never have me to depart from this teaching. I pray and I thank Him for that. I thank Minister Abdul Malik, because, you know, I thank first of all Brother Kareem, our student minister at Mosque number 97. Let's give him a hand. He couldn't be here today. And I thank Brother Malik, because throughout the journey, he really just held my hand through it. I mean, we were constantly in communication with each other all the way through. There were sometimes I became discouraged. I really did, because there were so many things coming up. But I want to also thank my sisters. I thank Sister Kalila, because I called her and talked with her. And when I say the people who are surrounding Sister Ava, Sister Rona, her assistant, I called Sister Rona one morning. I was just all coming apart. I was in tears. And it was not just because of the way this was moving, because I do believe Allah was going to bring it into fruition. And Minister Farrakhan says that whenever Allah puts a thought in your mind that is good, see it through the end, go on and do what you need to do. And so he did give this thought to me, because I didn't have any thought of anybody talking about project separation. So that came from Allah himself, right? So that motivated me to continue to go. But when I spoke to Sister Rhonda that morning, everything was coming unglued. My granddaughter had allowed my great-grandson to get vaccinations, and he came down with scarlet fever. And I'm like, scarlet fever? I don't know anybody who ever had scarlet fever. And so I was in tears over that, and tears over the way things are happening. But a strong MGT group, the ones who I spoke to, helped me to see it through, all the way through. I commend my MGT sisters. Yes, I do. People thought I was crazy, my family members. You're just going to wear yourself down. Just work. And I just tuned all of that out. I had one focus in mind. Right. But when these sisters come up and they talk about the MGT, we are so have been greatly rewarded by Allah to have this class. I mean, really, because just like they all were saying, where would we be today without this MGT class that really woke us up and brought us the teachings to make us new people? According to what the Minister Louis Farrakhan says, and I know I'm going to go back to being old, Sister Valerie. I know I'm older than a lot of you, and I know that this is the day for the younger people. I know that, okay? I know that, but Look at what Mr. Farrakhan says. He says, we're not here just to be here. We are all here. I'm still here.
Come on.
Okay?
That's right.
I'm still here. I have a great grandchild, but I'm still here. And I'm not ready to stop. Okay? He says, we are all here to make a contribution to the onward march and evolutionary development of man in his pathway to God. So we are becoming the gods and the goddesses that Allah has ordained for us to become. And until I can't move, I told my husband the other day, I said, well, I want to go on my feet. I don't want to go any other way. I'll still be walking. I'll still be moving.
Right.
You saw how hard it was for me to get up just now, right? But I do pray that I'm an inspiration for some of you younger ones. Don't give up. Don't stop. You know, as long as Allah has that breath in you and that energy and that spirit, you keep moving. You keep moving. So, I want to just say, before I take my seat, Sister Ava, she is a remarkable helper to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Absolutely remarkable. Yes, ma'am. You know, when I first started talking with her, and she turned everything over to her, I say project manager because that's what Sister Rhonda is, even though she's her assistant. One day I got a phone call, I'm like, oh, Sister Ava herself is calling me. So now I have to really act intelligent and think of all the right words to say. I went out into my garage to be alone so that there wouldn't be any noise or anything or nobody saying anything. But you know what? She made it so simple, so easy to talk with her. She's such a personable person to work with. She really, really is. And it's been a blessing to see, like, how do you talk to the person who's the spokesperson for, national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? And then when I got a hold of her biography, oh my God. Some of you who were at the welcome reception, you heard it, right? And I'm like, oh goodness, what did I say now? But I'm honored. She is really a true sister. I am thankful to Allah for giving me the inspiration to try to work hard and get her out here on the West Coast. And I want to say to Ava, thank you so much. And brothers and sisters, that was ever I have. Sister Valerie is coming to sit me down and take me down. But I'm going to end myself. I love you. I love all of you. MGT. Let's just hang on in there and get it together, okay? Assalamu alaikum.
Our nation can rise no higher than this woman. We know that, right? Some people say, why separate? Well, why not? Why should we stay amongst the people who are destroying us on a daily basis? On a minute-to-minute basis.
Come on.
Do you know how hard it is to raise the black men and women up from these conditions? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad thought it would be overnight. And 62 years later, we are still here trying to raise the black men and women to accept your own and be yourself.
Go ahead.
We must separate from these people. Why must we separate? Ask Tom Van Rice why we should separate. He's no longer here. Corinne Gaines, why we should separate. She's no longer here. And all the numbers of our people who are getting killed on a daily basis for no reason. But it's a planned program because we are a project to them. And their goal is to kill and annihilate us. And if you don't believe it, look at the news.
Go ahead.
And I know a man that knows a man that knows a man who met with God. You came 9,000 miles for us, you and me. And he has a helper on the West Coast. And his name used to be Tony Muhammad.
Come on.
I remember when Sister Captain Sajda got her new name. And Sister Zuhaira got her new name.
Come on.
And Minister Tony came back and he said, my name is still Tony. All praises be to Allah. But it took a little time. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan loves Minister Malcolm. He loves him. He took him from Atlanta, Georgia, and brought him here. And I remember him getting out of a huge white Mercedes Benz. I think he had on a yellow don't mess with my wife. If you mess with my wife, brother, I will kill you. This brother goes into the highways, into the byways.
That's right.
He has been teaching us for over 22 years.
Come on, come on.
We're going to lead in the right direction, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We sent our sons to his home, and I'm going to bring you up, Minister Malik, but I just got to tell this story. Somehow, all of our husbands had disappeared. It was like the Pied Piper had called them out of our home. And all of a sudden, we were single parents. Our children started braiding their hair and dyeing it red and wearing earrings. And we took them to Minister at that time, Tony, and we said, please help us with our sons. He brought them all over to the house. Brothers and sisters, he nurtured them.
Go ahead.
He nurtured them. He became a father to them. He took care of our children. Lost number 27 would not be what it is today with that family-oriented structure. Minister Malik was not here.
Go ahead. Let's go. Let's go.
All praises due to Allah. Man, what a great day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. To that one who is the creator of all things, and to him who is the revealer of all great and sacred truth. Dear brothers and sisters, I don't care how old any of us get to be in this life. No one in this room have enough breath in our bodies to thank Almighty God, Allah, for not one of his servants. But today, let us thank him for all of those who have come in a mighty line of divine. We thank him for Abraham. We thank him for Moses. And we thank him for that perfect reflection of God indwelling in a human being if man would just submit his or her will totally to do the will of God. We too could be like Jesus Christ.
Come on, come on.
We thank him for Muhammad. Muhammad in this world is a man that the wickedly wise would love for you to hate. For he, through God, introduced a book that is coded from the nature of original people.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We thank Almighty God, Allah, for these servants. Pray that he be pleased with them. Oh, but today you're going to get some good news.
Go ahead.
You are about to be edified like you've never been before. Because it's time for us to get up and get out of here.
Come on.
So I thank God for loving the black man, the brown man, and the red man,
Come on.
and the yellow man.
Come on.
We are all family, whether you want to realize it or not.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
For this teaching is a universal teaching. You may hear the word black a lot, but it's not to smack you in the face, because black is not a color.
Teach.
Black is universal. It is the essence from which all color comes from.
Right.
So, every person of color came from black people. Even white folk.
Right.
We thank God for coming to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I don't know about you. I am so thankful that God saw us coming into bondage and he raised one for us like he did others in biblical scripture. Our problem is we hate ourselves so much we don't believe that God would come among us. And he found one who happens to be a Georgia-born black man
Yes, sir.
by the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What a man. And in their absence, we are truly blessed that this man, Master Farad Muhammad, taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in such a perfect way that his mind became a womb.
Come on now.
Similar to the womb of a woman.
Come on.
But from his mind, he produced a son. That son is taking that teaching like a rod of iron, and you can't bend Farrakhan. You can't blunt Farrakhan. So I and you, now when I sing that song, that God raised one from among us. So now we can say, for unto us a child was born.
Yes, sir.
For unto us a son was given. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to us, and I thank him because he called me out of the dope den.
Go ahead now.
He kind of straightened up, well, I can't say kind of, but he really straightened up my pimp tendency.
Go ahead.
Oh, come on, y'all act like you're all right, because I'm not the only one. My environment trained me to mistreat women, but when I came in the environment of God, he straightened out my viewpoint. So I want to greet you all today in the three words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, let's give a wonderful round of applause to Sister Valerie and all of the great. Come on, y'all can do better than that. No nation is higher any higher than his woman. What a teaching. Yes, sir. Today, brothers and sisters, I certainly don't, it's almost feel like MGT class. I'm so nervous, I don't know what to do. When women come back to God, you don't have a power greater than women who are really with God.
Right. Go ahead.
Because when you're raised in the streets and you see a woman of God, you don't know what to say. Because we are trained by our environment to call her out of her name. But today, I'm truly honored, and I want to thank the student regional laborers, and I want to thank our laborers from Compton, California, under Brother King. I want to thank the laborers from Mosque number 8 under Brother Abdul Wahidullah. We want to thank our brother out of the Antelope Valley, Brother Ansar Muhammad. Come on, let's give them all around the applause in the mighty Mosque number 97 under Brother Student Minister Kareem. Let's give the IE. And with that, I have the distinct honor and pleasure to bring before you in an introductory way to some that this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I don't care what these crackers.
Go ahead.
I slang that, y'all know me.
Come on, it's all right.
I'm from the South.
Come on,
I know y'all call it sweet. To all my so-called white friends that may not be a cracker, but it's really a distinct honor that this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has proven that he is not what this world say he is. He's not xenophobic. Huh? He don't suffer from suppressing women. He is the first Islamic leader anywhere on this planet to raise women to the point where they were also imams and ministers in the nation of Islam. I'm talking about instruction of his teacher. So it gives me a distinct honor to introduce a sister who's not only a woman in leadership, but she is a doctor.
Go ahead.
She is trained in law.
Come on now.
And the beautiful part, she's also have the supreme wisdom. And once you have the supreme wisdom teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, any discipline you in, it magnifies you tenfold.
Go ahead.
So if I got in trouble and I had to go to court, I came out of my cell and I see Sister Ava, I know what's about to go down.
Go ahead.
She is one of the greatest defenders of our leader.
Go ahead. Teach.
When this enemy come after him, and they gotta come get him.
Come on.
We know that he will be arrested, but I pray, brothers, we don't punk out.
Come on.
Like the male disciples did with Jesus. And when the enemy had him, the only one that came around him was women. I believe Sister Ava is one of those types of women that feed the men. Oh, she gonna need it. She's a lady but a leader. She's a female, but she can fight. She's styling beautiful heels, but those heels is a weapon when she's dealing with the enemy. She will pluck your eyes out and choke you with her headpiece if you get along. Don't push her. She is a prolific teacher of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and she's one of the ministers that I've studied.
Come on.
And would pattern and get information from and go back and teach it from the rostrum. So today she's in town dealing with the issue of separation.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about you, but I want to see black people have a separate state or territory of our own. So would you please help me in showing our love for our headquarters and showing our love for she who was sent from the seat and the face of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let us welcome our sister, Dr. Ava Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
the merciful. We give praise and thanks to Allah for his love and mercy upon humanity. Always, when man goes astray, he raises up from among that people one who is from them to express to them his will in real time, that people may be guided back to the straight path. This is a tremendous act of grace and mercy on his part, because he is above need of his creation.
That's right.
We thank him in this 6,000-year cycle in particular, during the time of the rule of Satan, for continually raising up prophets and messengers.
Yes, ma'am.
The Holy Quran teaches us that there are many prophets and messengers whose names we don't know. But there are those who have been so impactful in bringing messages that has prevented us from completely falling over the cliff. that we recognize their names because Allah has acknowledged them in His direct revelation of the Holy Quran, and their names also appear in the Bible. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah. We thank Allah for Jesus and the gospel. We thank Allah for Muhammad ibn Abdullah, who received the revelation of the Holy Quran. And I, as a descendant of enslaved original people, here in the hells of North America, I am unapologetic in my pride in being black.
Come on.
I am unapologetic in my rage over the treatment
Go ahead. Go
of
ahead.
my people.
Come on.
Over these past 450 years.
Come on.
I thank Allah for coming from the holy city of Mecca when no one else would come.
Come on.
I know.
Making himself known in the person of Master Farid Muhammad, to whom all praise is forever. I thank Allah that Master Farid Muhammad met, not by accident,
Come on.
but in the fulfillment of prophecy, a grandson of slaves, one of the 6 million black people, part of the greatest migration within the confines of this continent, when black people, 6 million of them, seeking relief from domestic terrorism in the South, moved north. So they found little relief. But we thank Allah that Reverend Poole took his sons, among them Elijah, to the city of Detroit for work. And in that city, Master Farid Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was then a young Elijah Poole, met.
Come on.
And history was forever changed. And prophecy was fulfilled.
Go ahead, man.
And now we know that Elijah Muhammad is indeed the messenger Messiah, the exalted Christ of your scripture. We thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Rejected his messenger.
Listen.
How do we know we rejected his messenger? Because we rejected the message. We rejected God's plan for our salvation, which is to separate from the Caucasian.
Come on now. That's right.
And under any other circumstance,
Go ahead. Do it.
the rejection of Allah's message always means lights out.
That's right.
Always means destruction.
Facts. Come on.
But Allah's love for His people and His sensitivity
Listen.
to our suffering and our insanity,
Come on. Listen. Go ahead.
and the pleading of His messenger Elijah Muhammad for more time,
Come on.
Man.
led to grace and mercy. So we thank Allah and His messenger for the embodiment of their mercy and grace in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Beloved, I am overwhelmed with the events of this weekend, Being out here on the West Coast is and has been absolutely phenomenal. My husband, Brother Darius, who had to go back to Chicago this morning because he teaches and coaches in the school system and has to be there tomorrow morning. And so the FOI got him off, but my daughter Sherelle is still here. And on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank the West Coast region for your incredible hospitality. The MGTGCC, the top of civilization. They have showered us with gifts that are so reflective of love and ultra femininity.
Come on.
And they brought us to tears with everything from flowers to fabric to garments. Just wonderful. There's nothing like the love of the sisterhood.
Come on.
Thank our sisters. The mighty fruit of Islam.
Yes, ma'am.
Islam feeds the warlike propensity of the black man. The black man by nature is territorial.
Go ahead.
He is provider and protector.
Teach.
And this entire universe is under his watchful eye. The self-created God is a black man.
Go ahead.
And I am so grateful to student minister Abdul Malik and the laborers and believers of Muhammad Mosque 7, number 97, and student ministers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, many of whom now have been conferred, listening to these beautiful Arabic names in a land where we once weren't even allowed to speak to one another. We were not allowed to read and write. Our people, many of them lived and died on a plantation and never even knew where they were. This is why we are called the lost and found nation of Islam. And to see these powerful black men in these uniforms designed God himself, we know that we have been redeemed. I thank Allah on behalf of my family for the security and the protection of the OI, the fruit of Islam. Amazing. It's amazing grace. Beloved, we had a wonderful, successful town hall meeting yesterday.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The energy was indescribable. Minister Farrakhan, as you know, many of you know, and if not, please visit NOI.org and watch the press conference that he held November 16th of 2017, wherein he gave a final call to black people and a final warning to the U.S. government and the American people. He addressed Donald J. Trump directly and said to him, in fulfillment of the program of the Muslims that is printed on every single issue of the Final Call newspaper, he said to him, we will take 8 states.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now the word take has different connotations.
Go ahead.
There is the take that is acceptance
Right.
of what is being offered.
That's right. Come on now.
Would you like coffee or tea? Well, I will take tea.
Right.
And then there is the take as to convert into one's possession. As in, I'm taking that.
Come on.
So we will take 8 states.
That's right.
You can do this any way you want to do it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us, out of his experience on the Great Wheel, and if that sounds unfamiliar, you'll come to know
That's right.
about the Great Wheel.
Yes,
We know, if we know anything about our history in this country, that there is no way
Come on.
that 1.8 million black men could have gathered at their capital,
Listen.
the seat of the most powerful, economically and militarily nation on the earth, a nation built and operating on the doctrine of white superiority and black inferiority,
Come on.
and an innate fear of the black man.
Right.
There's no way, when they recently had laws that 2 of us could not converse, that 1.8 million of us could not only come to Washington, D.C. at their capital, but come in response to the call of a black man. And as my sisters have pointed out already and reminded us, we're being slaughtered
Come on. Teach now.
here in America daily, hourly.
Right.
1.8 million came and gathered shoulder to shoulder for a day of atonement, a day of reconciliation, and a day of absence from our tormentors.
Think about it.
And what did they do? They left town.
Come on.
Think about it.
What remained was the military, which lay underground,
Listen.
waiting for some action on the part of any 1 or 2 of those 1.8 million black men that would give an excuse for them to come and to absolutely slaughter our brothers. And in that entire day, and the gathering began the night before, there was not a single incident of hostility. Not one. It was a peek into the hereafter.
Teach now.
People want to know what this separation looks like.
Come on.
Well, the first thing separation looks like is our fathers and husbands and brothers and sons returning to their rightful place as the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, and God of the universe. Step 1.
Go ahead. Step 1.
This course of study called Self-Improvement,
Come on now.
the basis for community development. The improvement and advancement of the individual self is not the end. It's the means to the end.
That's right.
The end is the development of our community toward the ultimate goal of our spiritual, mental, intellectual, and moral resurrection. Separation is not our goal.
Come on.
Separation is the process by which we will attain our goal,
Come on.
which is to return to heaven. Sister Betty said, y'all believe in heaven. We believe in heaven, but we don't believe in heaven in a cloud. We don't believe in heaven after you die. We believe in heaven right here on earth. And we're going to heaven. In Study Guide 13, which we are currently studying in the Nation of Islam, the price of redemption, which was a study guide prepared for a process of purification to allow the Nation of Islam to return to Mosque Maryam.
Come on.
Because Mosque Maryam was first obtained for us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. After his departure from among us, it was lost to us because leadership and believers turned away completely.
Listen.
And the nation literally disappeared from the landscape.
Come on.
We cannot just walk back in.
Right.
We had to undergo steps of purification to allow us back in.
Listen.
In Study Guide 13, he lays out those steps of purification to cleanse us at least sufficiently to go back into Mosque Maryam. But he says, and I'm just going to lift a few of his quotes, and I will not, I promise, be long.
No, go ahead.
Please.
Redemption. He writes, to redeem means to buy back. This suggests that the item being bought back was already once owned by the buyer. And for some reason, the buyer had temporarily lost possession of it. Thus, a price has to be paid for the object to be returned. What is the price of the redemption of a people who belong to Allah God but have become captive in the hands of strangers and who have gone astray from the path of Allah God and are living a life contrary to Allah God and contrary to the nature of themselves? We know that Allah God, Master Prophet Muhammad, paid the price of redemption. There are so many similarities and parallels, as Sister Betty so beautifully brought out, between the Christian faith and Islam. The problem with the Christianity, beloved, with all due respect, as taught by the white man, by the slave master of our parents, is that it's warped and deformed and it mixes truth with falsehood. But it is true that we have been saved because of Jesus.
God, teach.
The issue is, do we recognize Jesus in our midst? And what are the characteristics of the Jesus who was prophesied in the New Testament?
Come on.
And one of the primary unique traits, beloved, of that Jesus was the raising of women from a position of subjugation and abuse.
That's right.
A nation can can rise no higher than its woman. Now, we're taught in the Christian Bible that the woman came from the rib of Adam.
Come on.
We are also taught that Eve accepted the apple from the serpent, and because of eating from the apple and luring her husband Adam into eating it, they were both put out of paradise. That false representation
Come on.
That's right.
is the base for sexism.
Come on.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us in Study Guide 12 there are 4 great impediments to self-improvement.
Come on.
Racism, sexism, nationalism, and materialism. All of those are rooted in a mindset that is identical, beloved, to the mindset of Satan.
That's right.
Listen.
And all of us have within us the capacity to operate out of that mindset, and we have to be vigilant and guard against it, because that mindset leads to us becoming devil or one in rebellion
Right.
to the will of God.
Go ahead.
What is that mindset? 3 words, beloved, are at the root of making devil. And that is this thought: I am better.
Come on now.
I am better. In the Holy Quran, Allah is making a declaration to his angels that he is going to place a ruler in the earth. And though the angels express concern and a bit of anxiety, they say, nevertheless, we hear and obey.
Come on.
We celebrate thy praise, we extol thy holiness. So in other words, even though we have a little bit of concern, you are the God. You are the supreme. You are Allah. So we submit. But one did not. One called it bliss. Your instruction to bow to Adam, no. I will not obey. Why won't you obey this bliss? Because he is made of dust. And I am made of fire.
Come on now.
And you, talking to the God, you created me before him. And the God said, oh, you're not going to obey even though I commanded this? No, I'm not.
Yes.
And so Allah put him out from the circle of angels.
Come on.
He did not destroy him. He cast him to the side.
Right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us that Satan has always been present. He was present at the time of the self-creation of the God who created himself in the triple darkness of space. He was there.
You teach.
Where was he? The only place he could be was somewhere in the mind of the self-created God. Why do we know that? Because there's nothing outside of the mind of the Creator. He is Alpha and Omega. He is the beginning and the end. Nothing exists except as a result of his active will or his permissive will. In other words, everything is here either because he made it happen or he allowed it to happen. He controls everything. He began a path to eventual perfection. When he completed his self-creation, there was this one small part called the brown journey.
Deal with it.
Here we go. Here we go.
And from that time, which is more than 76 trillion years ago,
Right.
he has been on a path of eventual perfection of himself. And you and I are a crucial part of his journey to self-creation.
Listen.
We are within his mind.
Go ahead.
Where else could we be? There's nothing outside of his mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're taught to do our prayers. We're taught Allah would not even care for you if it weren't for your prayers. The prayers are not for him, they're for us. And in seeking his mercy and his favor, we put ourselves on his active mind.
Peace now.
If he doesn't think about us, we don't exist.
Hey.
So we have to justify our existence through our prayer, our submission, and carrying out the purpose for which he created each and every one of us.
Go ahead.
We have to find our divine purpose, and every last one of us has one. Not only every one of us in this room, but any gnat or ant or insect or bug that comes in here, every plant, every living thing has a divine purpose. And what makes you better or more suited is what makes you more suitable to his will, to his creation. And if we are suitable to his creation, meaning we are on a quest to identify and then get in line with what he created us to do, that makes us better or more suitable to be a part of his creation. And if we do that, we would never say, I am better. We would say, all praise is due to Allah. So, beloved, and I promise, I'm always saying I'm not going to be long.
Take your time.
You know, you got me all fired up.
Take your time. Go ahead.
But all of this is about separation.
Come on.
That separation is not hate.
Right. Deal with
We
it.
don't hate.
Right.
Go ahead.
We separate.
Go ahead.
But we separate that we may fulfill our divine purpose. You can't fulfill your purpose under somebody's foot.
That's right.
You can't fulfill your divine purpose when someone other than Allah is imposing their will upon you. When we fear others,
Come on.
when we're intimidated or we're dependent on others, then we are guilty of the worst sin. The worst sin, brother student minister Abdul Malik referred to pimp inclinations.
Go ahead.
And Because some of us have done things that make that look like being a Boy Scout. We have done some things. And all of us are susceptible to thinking, I have done something that places me beyond the boundary of forgiveness.
That's true. Come on, man.
Wow. Come on.
Then we end up suffering from projecting onto others our self-condemnation.
Right.
Because I can't think any better of you than I think of me. So if I think I can't be redeemed, I don't believe you can be redeemed. And that's the root problem in the black community. Black inferiority. We will never rid this planet of white superiority until we rid it of black inferiority. Because our inferiority is what manufactured their false superiority. We don't need them, they need us. We built this country. Were it not for us, it would still be forests and trees.
Come on. Deal.
Were it not for the kindness of the Native Americans, were it not for the labor and suffering and soul of black people, they would not be where they were, where they are today. They would be where they were sent after one of our scientists, Dr. Yaku, made them in a laboratory. Listen to me. Take a little alone. And you know in your DNA these are not human beings. They are synthetic. That's why they always make everything synthetic. Because they make everything after their own.
Go ahead.
They were exiled, put out
That's right.
of the holy city of Mecca
Go ahead. That's right.
by black people for making mischief
That's right.
among the people.
Come on.
And they were sent to the hills, the caves and hillsides of Europe.
That's right.
And they remained there for 2,000 years. And without Islam and without exposure to the original, they were crawling around on all fours, animals, barking at the moon.
Right. Go ahead. Teach it.
Wearing no clothes. And then one of our scientists, the prophet Musa, Moses, was sent to teach them Islam and some of our technology, without which they could never have ruled over us.
That's right.
Why?
Come on.
Because in the beginning, that dark side of the mind,
Listen.
Satan was present, and there was a process by which the God had to purge himself of Satan. We're talking about a 76 plus trillion year scientific process.
Come on, sister. Man.
Now, the next time you even think you're not blessed,
Listen.
I want you to try to calculate the mathematical probability that after 66 trillion years, when our biggest act of rebellion took place and we blew the earth apart, yes we did.
Go ahead.
that what is the probability that 66 trillion years, all of the people that had lived and died, and all that time, you would be standing here to collect. Are you serious? How many complaints do we have?
Not a one. Go ahead. Teach it. Man, teach. My Lord. Go ahead.
Here we are. Come on.
They were brought out of the caves of Europe by us
That's right.
to fulfill prophecy, to fulfill the goal of eventual perfection.
Listen.
And what Allah determined in this war that came out of his own mind,
Man. Boy, that's
an experiment to see if good would prevail over evil.
Come on. Man, teach it.
That's why you see all these stories.
Yeah.
Every story you see,
Same
from
thing.
cartoons to movies to books, it's
thing.
always a conflict
Right.
between good and evil.
Good.
That's
Always.
rooted in reality.
Listen.
And good is prevailing and will win.
That's right. That's right. Bottom line.
As our Christian brothers say and sisters say, God is good.
That's right.
Oh. So he's moving into 100%.
Go ahead.
Come on.
Right.
But it has taken this because every suffering that we have endured, he has endured it with us. So now here we stand. One of our scientists,
Come on.
Listen.
when we were in Mecca 50,000 years ago,
Listen.
one of our scientists had an idea.
Come on. Come on.
Go ahead.
I'm going to make a man. I'm going to make another people.
Right. Right. Right.
And the scientist said, no.
Straight up.
Heck no.
Right. Go
Listen to
ahead.
that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But Minister Farrakhan said the chief scientist, the God,
Listen.
was more open-minded than the other scientists. He said, all right, you can make your man.
Come on.
But as we're talking theology of time, he said, you can't make your head.
Right. Right.
Okay? So you go on down in the jungles of East Asia
Listen. Listen.
Listen.
and you do whatever you got in your mind to do.
Right.
And what came out of that scientist, Shabazz,
Come on.
and his
Go ahead.
family
Listen.
went down and did conquer the jungle.
That's right.
Now it affected their physical appearance,
Come on.
it
Deal.
affected their behavior,
That's right.
but at the end of the day, they conquered.
Come on.
And we began to populate and spread out on that huge, enormous continent where almost all of the world's wealth
Listen.
can be found.
That's right.
It's a fact.
Right.
Everything from diamonds to coffee
That's right.
comes from what we call Africa. But the greatest value is us. It came out of Africa. So Minister Farrakhan said, we have to thank Shabazz, because were it not for him and the process of strengthening and survival that we went through
Come on.
over a 50,000 year period, that prepared us
Right.
for the final act of redemption. And that was to suffer 450 years under the rule of the made people.
Come on now.
Their time is up,
Come on.
so there is a whole new world
Yes,
coming
ma'am.
in,
That's right.
and this world is going out. That's the bottom line of all of this. The town hall meetings basically, that Minister Farrakhan has called for, are almost like doing a census.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like tapping the pulse
Come on.
of the black community. Because the first separation is going to be in the house.
Yeah. Listen.
In the house. What did Jesus say? Two will be lying in bed. That's pretty close. Lying in bed together.
Come on. Very close.
It's very close. And he said, I'm going in there and I'm going to take one and leave the other.
Come on now.
So in this supreme wisdom of the description that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave in point number 4 of what it is we want, he followed that with point number 5 and said, I want every black man and woman to choose
Right. That's what he said.
whether they want to separate from the enemy. You know, that's sensitivity. Because he's showing a divine understanding that some of us just can't recover
Come on. Come
from the
on.
mental, emotional, and spiritual imbalance that is the result of how we have been treated.
Go ahead.
But a word has been given that if we just had a pinpoint of light in our brain, we can be saved. How can I prove we just need a pinhead of light?
Listen.
Look at Pluto.
Come on. Come on.
Proper name, Platoon.
Right.
Teach.
Here is a planet 4 billion.
Come on.
600 million miles away from the sun.
Go ahead.
And yet,
Yeah.
when the sun's light strikes it, it responds.
Oh.
It turns on its axis just like all the other planets. If you look at the astronomer's artist rendition of what it is like to stand on the planet Platoon
Listen.
and look up, you know how beautiful and bright it is out there right now?
Right.
If you're on Platoon and you come out your house,
Go ahead.
which we wouldn't be able to do that, and you look up, the sun looks like a little pinhead of light
Wait.
Teach.
in pitch black.
Right.
Everything's pitch black except this little dot of light. But the Word of God
Listen.
is so powerful that just one touch of it
Right.
will move us.
Right.
And if we can move, we can live. Because life is motion. As long as you're moving, you live.
You were good.
So, we are in the time of the separation in the house.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're calling for those who either desire to move away from our captors' descendants or support the separate state or territory for black people. You know, we talked about the Mormons yesterday,
That's right.
how they just moved to Utah. They were under persecution. They didn't buy Utah. They just went in and overpopulated it.
Right.
You hear me?
Right. We with you. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So they became the majority of votes.
Come on.
Their culture, their belief system
Yeah.
took dominance.
Right.
And so now, when you go to Utah, you don't have to sign a paper and say, I accept being a Mormon, I belong to the Tabernacle Church, the Latter-day Saints. You don't have to go in and join, accept. But when you start looking around and live in the environment, you'll be really living the life of the Lord.
Right.
Right.
Trust.
Because if you're looking for Hooters, you won't find it.
Hey, come on.
You want to go see some girls on a pole with nothing. This is not the place. Business people, this is true. I read in a big article about Utah. White businessmen who come in and out of there and go to bars and want to get a drink. They said it takes 30 drinks to get high. Because it's so watered down, it tastes like tea. Okay. Everybody's married and has 1 million children. That's all we're saying.
Come on.
Go ahead.
We want to live the way we want to. And by nature, the black man and woman are spiritual like
That's right.
we're not perfect. But we love right. Yes, we do. And biggest of all, we love God. Whether we call him Christ, Jehovah, Allah, we love God. So we want to be free. We don't want our children to go to school and carry backpacks that are bulletproof.
Right. Listen.
Because we don't want guns anywhere. Our weapons are the forces of nature.
Go ahead now.
We get tired of something, we just whip up a hurricane. This is true. Throw around with some little hail and throw some rain down. Make it really hot. Make it really cold.
Come on.
Y'all don't realize Mama said that God will raise the temperature.
Come on.
Till the heat is unbearable. Open up all your pores and then drop it. Just kill you with the extreme, the freezing. The polar vortex that we experienced in Chicago last year. Oh my God. Okay. Donald Trump shut down the U.S. government, and Allah shut down the whole Midwest the next day with some air.
That's it.
With some air. It was so cold.
Listen.
How cold was it? It was so cold. You could not go outside and suck in air. Your face had to be completely wrapped up. Because if you took a deep breath, your lungs would crystallize.
Come on.
And when they talked about the polar vortex, because we're taught that the weather is always the result of the active will of God.
That's right.
No weather just happens.
That's right.
It's the result of his active will. And this is why, and the white man knows it, that's why he gives the hurricanes names.
Go ahead.
That's why he uses terms like, well, it started as a tropical depression. Yeah, but God is depressed. The black man is depressed over this. So that depressed grows into anger.
Go ahead.
Teach.
And if something doesn't happen to calm him, then it intensifies.
Come on.
Until all of a sudden you got yourself a category 5.
Go ahead. Listen.
And when he's done, your little buildings look like confetti after a child's birthday party.
Go ahead.
They talked about the polar vortex like it was the Kraken. You remember Clash of the Titans?
Yes,
The Kraken. The weatherman said the polar vortex usually lays up in the Arctic, and it's kept in by this circle of air. But every 20 years or so, it escapes.
Think about it. Think about it.
And it heads down through Siberia and Canada, and then it hit places like Chicago. And I mean, it shut that city down. It was lifeless.
Man.
It looked like I Am Legend. Some of y'all are so young, you're looking at me like, what is that? But the point is, he controls the weather. So, let me close on this point, then I'm going to read something from the minister. And then one last thing I want to share with you about what has been done to us and what we've been through. But this splitting and this separation in the house is occurring right now.
That's right.
And it's not, if your desire is to get out from under that, and again, it's not an aberration to want our own states. It's certainly not irrational, and it's not as though a debt is not owed to us that can never be repaid.
That's right.
Reparations can only be land. That's all it can be. Because dollars have no intrinsic value.
That's wrong we teach now.
You know, what is intrinsic value? That's what makes a thing what it is its intrinsic value. Well, a dollar bill or $1,000 bill has no intrinsic value. Why? The only time money has value is when you give it to somebody and get something for it.
That's wrong.
Think about it.
It has zero value in your wallet or your purse. If you get hungry, you can't eat the dollar.
Teach.
If you get thirsty, you can't drink the dollar.
Right.
If you want to grow food, you can't plant the dollar in the ground and something will grow up from it.
Go ahead.
If you need shelter, you can't put the dollar over your head and protect yourself from the rain and snow. It is a medium of exchange. The value of the planet Earth is the earth.
Come on now.
And we are not people of the dollar, we're people of the earth.
Teach.
We come from the earth, we live on the earth and from the earth, and when life on the third dimension or the flesh is over, we go back to the earth, not the dollar. So this silly discussion,
Listen.
oh, everybody get a $145,000 check. So you go get yourself a Lexus.
Teach.
Some shoes, some jewelry, a couple season tickets.
Come on. Teach.
Really?
Right.
Talk about disrespecting the ancestors. No, thank you. We want land.
Good.
And you'll take nothing less than that. And we feel like
Go ahead.
8 to 10 states
Right.
is a very reasonable
Very.
price.
Come on.
Because we could have said 25. Of the 50. And I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes that there's nothing more logical, legal, and politically sound than for us to have a few states that are ours. This is how this place functions. It's a political union. It's not a nation that Allah, God, created.
Come on.
It is a loosely joined political union
That's right.
of white people who cannot get along with each other in peace.
That's right.
So we can forget it.
Right.
This is why they drew boundaries among them. They went to war, okay? And they had some wars before the Civil War. Trust and believe. They got into it.
That's right.
And when we're not around, they kill each other.
You better believe that.
Go ahead.
White on white crime.
You best believe it.
It's quite prevalent.
Right.
Each of these 50 states has a constitution of its own.
That's right.
Has its own flag.
Right.
Its own economy.
That's right.
It determines its educational system. It determines how it's going to govern itself. It issues driver's licenses, marriage licenses. But there's a union, so they share federal travel and military protection of the borders of the entire continent. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said the best thing that could ever happen to you is to have us in several of your border states. Because ain't nothing getting past us. Oh, trust and believe. Nothing is getting past us. So if we were to take, say, Mississippi, just as an example.
Yes, ma'am.
Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana. See, right down there in the South, where we worked to death 400 years, where we produced the cotton that made them wealthy and enabled them to be not only a military giant, but an economic giant, then as long as we can come and go in, as Student Minister Abdul Malik has been talking about, we have to be able to do trade with what is called Africa. We have to be able to engage in trade. But we also may need a state maybe here, there in the Midwest for wheat and bread. Okay? But we'll sit down and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Donald Trump, and he loves the art of the deal. I mean, he swears he's the deal maker. And he has shown he has a propensity toward wanting to sit down and talk with leaders that other white people have made a pariah. North Korea, Russia. He wanted to sit down with the president of Iran.
Think about it.
It broke him up with his Secretary of State. Okay? All of these are precursors to sitting down and having this negotiation. Okay? But in order for that to occur and for these states to be places where the mindset of the original man truly dominates, we have to identify who thinks that way. And if you're in Massachusetts, people that started that state, they think a certain way.
That's right.
Think about it.
First thing you hear if you go in the state of Texas, I don't care if you're from California, boy.
That's right.
You in Texas now.
That's right. Come on.
All of that is very real, all right? Different cultures. So let me close with this. Laws, rules, and regulations, and the value of obedience. This is from Minister Louis Farrakhan in Study Guide 13. Beloved, there is much we have yet to learn about Allah's will and our suffering for the sake of purification. Allah God, the sovereign of the universe, has established rules, laws, governing everything in his creation. Nothing in this creation disobeys the laws under which it is created, governed, and controlled, from the tiniest insect to the huge planets, except man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the so-called Indians, that's our Native American brothers and sisters, original people. He addresses everything that we talked about yesterday. This is where it comes from. He said the so-called Indians, because that's not their original name, were exiled from that part of the earth, Asia, to this wilderness for breaking the laws of Islam. Islam means obedience to the will of God. Exile means prolonged separation from one's country or home as by stress of circumstances. It means expulsion from one's native land by authoritative decree. Breaking the law of Islam means we rebelled against obeying our sovereign Lord. The fall of the so-called Indians, members of the Aboriginal people of the earth, was due to rebellion.
That's right.
The fall of the black man, member of the Aboriginal people of the earth, was due to rebellion. The Caucasian was made in the nature of rebellion. So our rebellion, white, red, and black, has earned all of us a place in America, where in our rebellion we can heap punishment and evil upon each other. That's why we're here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Allah permitted the Caucasian to take this country from the so-called Indian. He permitted the Caucasian to bring millions of black people into slavery in the Western Hemisphere. This was to be a prison for all of us until we learned the price of rebellion and decided we've had enough. This was time out.
Come on.
On a galactic scale.
Jeez.
And we were willing to submit to Allah God that He might get us out of the condition that our rebellion against Him has placed us in. Death. Spiritually, mentally, morally, politically, and economically. The Bible depicts us as a stiff-necked, hard-hearted, rebellious people, lost sheep, who follow the devices and desires of our own heart and refuse to submit to the will of God. It is in this rebellion, dear brothers and sisters, that has reduced humanity to the level of the beast of the field and even below. Today, all of the Native American rituals of traditional religion that I know of inflict pain and suffering for the sake of purification, that they might once again gain the favor of Allah, whom they call grandfather.
Come on.
The Caucasian people have set up rules, laws, regulations governing society, and most of these laws, called common law, spring from their understanding of divine law. Many of their laws are made to ensure safety and security of people and property from the evil intentions of others. There are many laws that are unjust, and these laws are changed by protests. Civil disobedience in the civil rights movement was not designed to create chaos, but to rid society of unjust laws. When we act outside the parameters of the laws of this society, we may find ourselves incarcerated. At that point, yet another, even more restrictive set of laws is activated in our lives, governing the relationship between the confined and the guards who are the overseers of the confined. There are rules concerning what we should say, do, when we can say or do it, how we should act. Some of these rules may seem stringent or foolish, but they are designed to train the inmate to recognize and respect rules and regulations. So Allah says to us in the Holy Quran, obey Allah and His Messenger and those in authority over you, whether they are of your faith or not. We are admonished to respect authority because that is the way to peace. You know, the person that you do the crime with may not necessarily be the one you do time with.
Right. Come on. Come on.
You can get convicted of a felony and get 20.
Come on.
And when they take you to your cell, there's some sociopath standing there looking at you, who's already in there.
Right.
That person may have murdered 10 people.
Come on.
You robbed a bank, had a fake gun, but here you are together. So the black man, the Native American, and the Caucasian are all guilty of different crimes against the will of God. But we're all serving time together. And thank Allah that time is up. So because of the lateness of the hour, I'm not going to go into this today. I'm going to give you a reference for you to look it up. Because we talk a lot about slavery. But there were black people here from the very beginning. But we were here before. We've been all over this earth. There's nowhere the white man came that we hadn't already been. But in terms of the making of this nation, we were some of the first settlers of what is called the Northwest Territory. And the wide expanse of land that is west and led to this state of California. The pioneers are always portrayed as all white people.
That's right.
But it was black people who came first, and there were people already here. The Native Americans. And this article gets into the story of all of the anti-immigration laws way before Trump and his administration started separating and locking up original people coming from Central and South America. This has always been their way. This is who they are. And so not only did they want to control our movement in the South and keep us on plantations, they set up laws to prohibit free black people who own property from going between states. The state of Illinois would not allow free black people to come in its borders. And if you came into the border of the state of Illinois, you could be arrested, put into slavery for $4 for 1 month, and at the end of your bondage, you were told you better get out of Illinois or you're going to be in slavery forever. So we have to dispel this myth that the North was good and the South was bad. And that white people in the North are good and white people in the South are bad. All that these are different manifestations of a doctrine of white supremacy, white superiority. And hopefully, from the minister's words today, we have learned we're not in this because we're lesser. We're not in this because Ham exposed Noah's nakedness. We're not here because we're less. We're here because we had the power to rebel against God on such a massive scale that we had to go through this in order to redeem ourselves. May Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. I'm sorry. Today's New York Times in the review youth section, there's an article entitled Black Pioneers Not Welcome Here. And you can see excerpts from a very powerful book on that subject, today's New York Times. Thank you so much. But I want you to get the Final Call newspaper.
That's right.
Look for the FOI or get your digital edition for the greatest newspaper in the world. Thank you, beloved. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I was told to deliver this message.